Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Manga Storian Talks about One Piece. My name is Benny. I run a channel called Comic Storian. I read manga and read comic books all the time, which gives me some unique and also some very tropey opinions as to how things are happening here. Today, we're going to be doing the finale to Whole Cake Island arc, the Big Mom arc from 886 until 902. And honestly, there's some cool stuff that happened in this arc, and we're going to talk about all of it, good, like the whole arc as a whole. But this is probably the first time reading a One Piece arc that I'm disappointed in the finale of the whole thing. Normally, if the actual arc itself has some lulls or down moments, the finale picks it all up for me. But these last 16 chapters, 18 chapters, I'm not going to do the math in my head. I'm lazy. However many chapters are left, there's some cool stuff, but we'll get to it. Let's just jump into it. If you're wondering, I've read the manga, not watched the anime, which means pronunciations might be off, or certain scenes might not be as prominent in the manga because they weren't focused as heavily to make filler and things like that. When we last left off, the cake had been made. Sanji and Pudding were heading their way over there. Pudding's having this like split personality thing where she can't get over the fact that Sanji actually likes her and thinks that she's attractive with her third eye. So she's constantly wanting to say mean things to Sanji, but also wants to be with Sanji. On top of that, we've got the crew kind of split into two directions. We have Sanji and Pudding trying to get the cake across the ocean, while at the same time, Nami and Carrot and I think Brooke might be with them at this point, but Chopper, they're all being surrounded by a bunch of boats that are going to be attacking and invading them. While this is going on, Luffy is locked away with Mochi Mochi Man, his kind of equivalent, because he just turns everything into stretchy mochi, which I haven't had much mochi, so I don't know how stretchy it can actually be, but I would assume mochi must be stretchy if that's what's happening with Luffy. And those are like the three core things that are going on. On top of that, we've got Big Mom on a rampage. We're looking at like ravaged. She's been drained of everything. So I'm going to hit the big moments that I found to be interesting. The crew being surrounded by all the boats with Carrot, and then we see Carrot go Suong, whatever. Carrot turned into a super hot bunny girl who just like attacked and blew everybody up. And it's like, holy crap, what is that? I want to know what this is because apparently this is really awesome and cool. What I loved about it is that like she's gonna go berserk, she's gonna go insane, she won't know who she's fighting against, and Brooke's trying to help her, and her plan was to bounce between all the boats and steal the steering wheels so that she could just strand everyone out there, and then Brooke's trying to help out as well. I loved that whole sequence. I thought it was great, but one of my favorite things that came out of that was Chopper's reaction to her transformation, because Chopper called her his little sister. And I'm like, oh, that's just sweet that Chopper sees like some kind of like sibling situation with Carrot. And just, it all worked out really well. The problem I have with this though, and it's more of a jokey kind of thing. Carrot, I believe, is like 15, 16. And they turned her into this super tall, super sexy, like bunny girl, basically. Like if I was to ever go furry, there you go. That's what it would be. But I have the same problem with this one that I have with Nezuko turning into very top-heavy demon girl, because Nezuko, I think, is like 8 or 9, and then they just turn her into this like, okay, her boobs got huge, and they're about to burst out of it. And we can't even use the excuse of 5,000-year-old demon girl, because like, Nezuko's not. Well, Carrot's a similar situation. I get it. I'm not actually bad-mouthing it at all, but I do find it just kind of funny that it was like, okay, so we got the cute and innocent bunny girl who's now the sexy rabbit that's going to rip everyone's heads off. And I'm like, all right, that's anime. Moving on. I just found that funny that like that was her role and then it's over here. But everyone loved seeing her like that. Then they had to hide her from the moon so it doesn't happen again. I thought that whole sequence was fun. I found the battle with Luffy and the situation with Sanji in the boat to be the most annoying factor in this entire sequence, because we got like 16 to 17 chapters left. And I felt like, I know it wasn't the situation, but I felt like all 17 chapters was Luffy getting beat up by Mochi Mochi Man while Sanji and them are trying to get the cake over to the island. It felt like every chapter was checking in on them to be like, and they're still going. And then we'd cut over to like Big Mom's Pirates, and Big Mom's Pirates would be like, what if they poisoned the cake? And then you'd go back over to Sanji and he'd be like, I would never poison the cake. And then Capone's like, we should poison the cake. And then Sanji's like, I would never poison the cake. And then we cut back to Big Mom's pirates and they're like, what if they poisoned the cake? And I'm like, haven't we said and done this multiple times? Oh, but it was slightly broken up because Luffy's getting beat up over here. And it was just, I just felt like it was just dragging it out for no reason. Like, I don't understand why the manga needed filler because I don't feel like anything happened in that entire sequence other than the Sulong thing, which I think I'm saying right, but the Sulong thing with Carrot, which wasn't even pertaining to Sanji and Luffy. That was like over here, and Sanji and Luffy are doing this things over here, and it just felt like it was getting constantly like just dragged out. And that's what was annoying me because Big Mom is chasing Sanji's boat and Luffy's fighting Mochi Mochi Man, and we're getting like very minor character development on Mochi Mochi Man. Like, I don't care about that dude and his sisters and all them. Like Big Mom's son who has a big like chomper jaw thing. I don't care. I don't care about the backstory about how everyone was mean to him and how close he is to Brûlé. That was just why? Why give me this? We're so late in Whole Cake Island at this point that I'm just like, this feels like such a waste of time. I just want to see the cake get to the location so that we can see how Big Mom's going to react to the cake getting to the location. So the Mochi Mochi Man fight with Luffy continues onward, and Luffy getting beat up until he eventually goes Gear 4. Gear 4 ends up beating Mochi Mochi Man's whatever crazy form he decided to take on. I do like that even though Luffy got beat up, he pretty much won through attrition. He just kept getting beat up, and the other guy got tired, and just Luffy won because of that, basically. Pudding continues to be conflicted, this whole sequence of things. And so eventually, towards the back half, Luffy is jumping out of the mirror after defeating Mochi Mochi Man. Sanji and all of them are on the island finally. Sanji picks up Luffy, gets Luffy back to the Sunny. The crew is back together. Finally, everyone's there. Big Mom eats the cake finally. She's in bliss. She's recovered. And then everyone just leaves. I mean, that's why I'm disappointed, because I thought we were building up to finally fighting Big Mom, finally getting into the big battle, but we don't. A lot of cool stuff happened in this. We got to see Carrot's new form. Sanji got to be really close to Pudding and kind of get what Sanji deserves finally, like a woman that wants to be with him until she became crazy and had a split personality, but that's like a whole different thing going on there. We got to see Luffy kind of like realize as strong as he is, he's still not strong enough. Brook was able to get the rubbing of the pond glyph. That was really cool too, the way he worked that out. We also discovered that Brook can run on water, apparently. That's fun. Like to see that. He's just doing Brook, whatever. But it just felt like 80 to 90 chapters with very little resolution. And that's really what my core complaint with the whole Cake Island arc is. I do want to state, I really felt sad for Sanji in the very ending when Pudding finally reciprocated that he loved her, even though she had the third eye and she thought that she was a monster and he still loved her. She gave him the kiss that he wanted, and then using her devil fruit, pulled the memory out so he wouldn't know that she reciprocated it. And I was like, it's so sad, because Sanji finally had someone that was kind of like returning his love and his affection, even though he's kind of pervy, and he was being less pervy with Pudding. And it really worked. It really was nice. I would have liked to have seen Pudding stick around. But yeah, that didn't happen. Big Mom didn't get defeated. We now have them going off. I forgot to mention before all of you freak out, Jinbei had a crazy moment of officially getting out of Big Mom Pirates and then staying behind again. But I loved the way they did it this time, because it was Big Mom will catch us unless we stall her. So Jinbei stayed behind, but Luffy this time said, no, I am your captain. You will meet us in Wano. And I'm like, okay, cool. So Jinbei's on the crew now. We're doing this. Like, even though Jinbei won't be here for a minute because we're all separated. But it just felt like, I don't know. I don't know really how much better to say it. It just felt like it kind of got dragged out. And I really wanted a better resolution to the whole thing, because it just felt like 80 to 90 chapters to kind of cover what could have been covered, and maybe half of that. If this wasn't going to be a big resolution, we could have like cut a lot of the fluff out and gotten to the point of Jinbei and Sanji and Brook and Carrot. We could have done it all. I just don't think we needed this many chapters to do it. I honestly do not look forward to seeing this segment in anime, because I'm assuming it's even more brutal in anime, because there's so many segments in here that could easily be padded out for filler, because they already were in the manga. So I can't imagine how bad it's going to be in the anime. Does the boat, I'm asking you guys, the audience, does the boat race away from Big Mom, which was like 15 to 18 chapters in the manga, go for like 20 whole episodes? Is it just, it's just every episode, oh, we should bomb the cake. What if they bomb the cake? I'll never bomb the cake. Like, is that how it works? Just every episode for 20 episodes? But yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought this video would be a little bit longer, but it's really not, because that's just my thoughts. I am excited for where we're going next. There's a short segment of chapters. I guess probably the resolution to this whole thing. But now the crew has got Sanji back. They're heading over to, I believe, it's been 80 chapters, but I believe they're heading to Wano, because I believe that's where Zoro and Ryuji, the samurai guy, and all the, like, everyone else went that way. I believe they all went that way. So that's where we're heading over to now. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going on, because Wano is what all of you guys have been hyping up. Wano is what everyone says I need to enjoy. And I'm finally, maybe, let me Google it. Am I at Wano? Watch it be like 900 chapters away still. All right. I am at Wano. I have the Levely arc and then Wano. We are there. For all of you guys that said, see you in Wano, I'm there. We got there. I'm also a little sad. That means I'm under 200 chapters away from being fully caught up, and then I have to suffer like in My Hero Academia. Go figure. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know it was a little bit shorter than usual, but I didn't have that much to say because they just spent all the chapters running. So thank you guys so much. I will see you next week right here.